8th स्टैंडर्ड में है। मैंने दिस ईयर 70,000 फी पे किया है, प्लस बुक्स वगैरह ड्रेसेस का अलग है।
मेरी बेटी 5th स्टैंडर्ड में है और बेटा 10th स्टैंडर्ड में है और फीस अनबिलीवेबल, जितना क्वालिटी ऑफ स्टडीज यहाँ पे है उसके हिसाब से इतनी ज़्यादा हाई है कि हम लोग कोई भी नहीं, पेरेंट इतने इकट्ठे हुए हैं, कोई भी बेयर नहीं कर पा रहा है।
They have given to the PTA member and the senior sections and the junior section. They don't even have the PTA member. They told that we have to send them the mail. PTA members are telling they didn't get any mail or MOM.
20 to 20% तो इन लोगों का फिक्स है, ये लोग इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं। तो प्रॉब्लम ये हो रही है ना हम लोगों को कि हम लोगों की सैलरी तो बढ़ नहीं रही है और ये लोग है ना अपना जो फीस स्ट्रक्चर है ना वो बढ़ाते जा रहे हैं।
Few parents who have been standing in the sun since 9 o'clock in the morning asking the management to come forward and have a talk, but the management has completely denied. They've asked that only 5 parents will come inside to have a talk.
Watching the Urban Debate on Mirror now. Thank you for joining us. Well, it's that time of the year again, and it's the time of admissions. And we've realized when one particular fee structure went viral, a Bishop Cotton school in Bangalore that charges over 2 lakh rupees for LKG or lower kindergarten, it turned into a storm. So you'll remember, viewers, over the last year, so several months, we've been tracking the school fee hike problem. But specifically today, I want to consider what's happening with the LKG fees. We've received tweets from across the country, from Hyderabad, from Delhi, from Bangalore, from Mumbai, from Thane, people telling us that LKG fees are now in the range of 1 lakh rupees upwards to 5 lakh rupees, sometimes going even higher than that. There's also an element of donation or building fees that's completely off the books, for which the parents get what is known as a kacha receipt, which is a handwritten receipt. It's called a voluntary donation, but it's necessary if you want to get your kid into a certain school. Why isn't there regulation? Even in states where there is regulation about school fees, it normally involves standard 1 to standard 10. It doesn't involve LKG and UKG, allowing schools a free hand then to charge whatever they want. Can you justify a 2.5 lakh rupee fee for lower KG classes? And I just want to tell you, look at the numbers that we're looking at. In New Delhi, Amity Global School fees for nursery and KG, the annual fee is 2,30,000. The Sanskriti school fee per annum for the nursery is 1,57,756. In Mumbai, the Shishuvan school nursery fee 1,23,000. Edu Bridge 3,65,000 for nursery. In Kolkata, South City International School Tiny Tots nursery 1,56,000. In Hyderabad, the International School of Hyderabad charging over 2 lakh rupees. One-time admission fees, building fees, refundable deposits, so on and so forth. It just goes on and on. And this is where it all started from. The Bishop Cotton's boys' school in Bangalore, 2,02,000 rupees fees for 1 year. Should there be regulation, or should these schools be allowed to charge fees like this? That's the question we are asking. Starting off on the show, Dr. Manisha Priyam, senior academic and political analyst. Mr. Amitabh Sinha was to join us. He may join us in the course of this conversation. Lavanya Balal is the spokesperson of the Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee. Anubha Sahai, president of the India-wide Parents Association. Ashish Naredi, executive member of the Hyderabad School Parents Association. And D. Shashikumar is the principal of Blossom School and the general secretary of the Associated Management Private Unaided Schools of Karnataka. I welcome all of you to this conversation, and I want to simply start by asking this one question. Anubha, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that 2,02,000 rupees that Bishop Cotton's Boys High School is charging for the LKG, is that too high?
It is undoubtedly, because if you will see the fee structure of engineering college,
I won't think they will be charging so high, which a lower KG grade child has to spend on his education, and that too for I don't know what is the reason, what kind of education they are imparting, what kind of science they are imparting to such children, and they're charging a fee of 2 lakh rupees from these tiny kids. I don't know what these tiny kids are going to do in that school. They just go to learn and play. In such play schools, a fee of 2 lakh is totally unjustified, arbitrary, and I think illegal also. It clearly shows the profiteering part on that, and education department has suo motu power to take cognizance of such kind of offences in any state.
But it's not an offence because there's no rule, Anubha.
No, there's a rule, central rule, which is RTE Act. And in Karnataka also there is an act actually. For junior KG, I don't think in Karnataka there is any rule. I need to check. But in Maharashtra we have a regulation for even pre-primary grade.
So just to answer your question, the BTech course in IIT Kharagpur per year is 77,000, which is actually less than half of what this LKG student is being charged. The AIMS MBBS, which is the medical science course fee, is, I mean, this might be an unfair comparison. It's a little over 2,000 rupees. And an MBA in Manipal University is about 7 lakh rupees per year. So that's what education costs. So if we're spending, and this is a private, education with hostel, if we're spending 7 lakh rupees on an MBA, does it make sense to spend 2.5 lakh rupees on LKG? I want to bring in D. Shashi Kumar, who represents the principals of and the management of schools. Mr. Shashi Kumar, is this commonplace in Bangalore to be charging 2.5 lakh rupees for LKG? This is what fees are like these days?
No, actually, see, the main issue here is only with some certain schools, hardly 2 to 3% of the schools who charge above 1 lakh. There are, out of 18,000 schools, there are more than 17,000 schools across Karnataka who are within 10,000 to 40,000, and per child expenditure of government itself is more than 30 to 40,000. When you talk about these per child expenditure in Navodaya, it is around 1 lakh rupees where government itself is spending. And what is the quality output? Here we are not disputing on the larger schools, except few schools who are having some bad practices or with misdeeds. They have arrived for some fancy fee structure, and this parents community, they are falling in queue to pay even that huge amount, and it is their choice as a prestige that I am joining to such a wonderful school. And that is where the happenings are, and we have to talk in a wider manner, understand this entire what is fees fixation or fees regulation. This two word itself has a different meaning. No government can fix a rigid fees, but they have a complete authority to regulate by giving some standard formula, which we are awaiting from past 20 years to revise our fees regulation, which has been an age-old thing. We as of now are awaited for a revision of fees regulation, which is still pending in from the government.
Well, Shashi Kumar, I want to ask you this. So you think it's acceptable then for a 2.5 lakh rupee charge from some schools? We understand schools in Hyderabad are charging 5 lakh rupees and even higher than that. Is there a justification for the...
Definitely, on a larger perspective, No. Definitely, we as the largest association and especially budget school, most of our schools, we definitely don't endorse this. It is something fancy. Some very few management, especially they are the old institution, they have some branding. These schools are charging this, and really we too condemn such. There are something like what we found in this, especially in Bishop Cotton, is that they have charged for a robotic around some amount, wherein LKG child doesn't go with robotic. If it is a supplement, something teaching, something it would have been sensed. But here robotic classes and charging something 4,000, 5,000 is something rubbish. But still, but the school has definitely they have rights to charge.
There is no.
If it is
Sir,
really
excuse
meaningful
me, I would like to
charging.
comment here that there is
Yeah,
no.
no.
What is the government doing? I don't know. What is the Karnataka government doing since past so many years? What are they doing? Why are they not regulating the fees of a junior KG school?
No, even we are questioning regularly.
Right, that's
Why
why
are
let me
not
not
doing-
answer that. That is a
Another
question
thing,
for the
another thing
Karnataka
I would like to
government.
say that I have received many maximum complaints on change.org where more than 2 lakhs parents have signed. The maximum complaints have been received from Bangalore. So I don't think that only few schools are charging. There are n numbers of schools. I'll give you example, or charging a fee of from 2 lakhs to 6 lakhs to 20 lakhs.
No,
So don't say that only few are charging. I have all the data with me.
Let me bring in Lavanya. Let me bring in Lavanya, who represents the
4 to
government here.
5%
Lavanya, if you
of
could
the
tell us
school.
why is the government okay with this sort of fees? Is there a regulation? Are you considering bringing in a regulation? What's going on in Bangalore?
Say we have a regulation which was brought in 2016 which puts a cap on the fees of the schools, and that is applicable to all the state board schools, and it is not applicable to the ICSE or the CBSE syllabus because it does not come under the ambit of the state government. State government has regulated the fees of the state board schools. So I'm sure everybody here is aware of that. The state government cannot regulate the fees of
I don't
CBSE
believe that's
and
entirely
government
true.
schools.
That is totally wrong, madam. Totally, the state government has all the right, which is given under right to.
Between state government and other?
No, in fact, Shashi Kumar, let me remind you, Lavanya, that the state government of Karnataka quite happily made Kannada compulsory for all schools. At that point, you felt you had jurisdiction over these schools. But when it comes to regulating fees, suddenly you have no jurisdiction at all. How is that possible?
Lavanya is out of context.
So no.
Very
Wait,
good
let me
justification.
finish.
What is within the ambit of state education department?
And I am hearing it for the first time on this channel that
No.
Karnataka government is saying there is not
No, there is
applicable.
a PIL
let her
filed in the High Court of Karnataka requesting that the CBSE and the ICSE students also, their fees also to be regulated. Please read up, please understand, and state government has regulated the fees of the state school boards.
Let me bring in Mr. Ashish
state
Naredi.
government has said.
No. So it's very, very clear that the education department has jurisdiction over all schools. All schools, not just the state syllabus schools. It has nothing to do with the syllabus. You regulate the schools themselves. Ashish Naredi, executive member of the Hyderabad School Parents Association. What is the state in Hyderabad right now?
Thanks for this opportunity, Faye. Like we've been saying, Hyderabad beats all cities flat out as far as school fee loot is concerned. Like we say in Hindi, it's an Betaj Badshah, or the undisputed king. And we'd tweeted to Mirror Now and to you also when this entire rage was there with respect to LKG fees being around 2.02 lakhs in Bishop Cotton School in Bangalore. And we've sent fee structures. I've got some fee structures with me as well, where you can see LKG, the tuition fee is 5 lakhs and the admission non-refundable fee of 2 lakhs. And this is not only school, there are several others. I have other fee structures as well. This school charges 4.57 lakhs. This is Oak Ridge International. The earlier one was International School of Hyderabad. This is 4.57 lakhs for LKG. Oh my God. This school is charging. This is Aga Khan Academy. This is 3.5 lakhs as tuition fees, and plus about 1.5 lakh for admission fees and refundable security deposit. So it's about 5 lakhs in Aga Khan, about 7 lakhs in International School of Hyderabad, about 5 lakhs in Oak Ridge International School, and there are more. My goodness. The problem here in Hyderabad is that most of the schools, after activism by Hyderabad Schools Parents Association, they've removed the fee structures from their school websites, and even when the parents go to the schools to ask for the fee structure, most of the schools have started giving handwritten notes because they're scared that the moment they get, the parents lay their hands on the illegal fees which is being charged, the cases will land up in court. So that's how bad the situation here in Hyderabad is. We've been fighting against this for many years. We've fought and won a case in Supreme Court as well. We've fought one case way back in 2009 in Hyderabad in the High Court. Right now, 2 PILs are pending in the High Court, but for some strange reason, we don't get a hearing. And especially in the given current political context, when you see that the political bigwigs, at the drop of the hat, they get priority hearings in multiple benches in multiple courts. And we contrast
I want to bring in Dr. Manisha Priyam
here.
Yes, I want to bring in Dr. Manisha Priyam here, who is a senior academic. Dr. Priyam, tell us this. Do you think it's fair to question these schools, or is it a choice that if you don't want to pay these fees, don't bring your children to these schools? Take your children to schools that charge lower. Is that a fair argument?
No, Faye, I don't think that's a fair argument. And to the speaker who was speaking just before me, I don't have a television in front of me, so I don't know. But I think he was leading you to the front line of the arguments. And if you see here, this is illegal rent seeking, this is happening. And remember, schools are not just projects about education, they are also land grab projects. So these are very powerful people. You'll often find that a lot of these people who are operating these new named, fangled, whatever these schools are, you will find them also somehow having acquired large plots of land to run these institutions. And acquiring these is not an easy job. Also, the fact is that school fees is only a small component. As you could see, non-refundable, transport. Yes. And let me also tell you, as an academic and a writer, I do publishing. The amount of money that's charged through textbooks, a lot of them comes back as kickbacks to teachers and schools themselves. The exam boards, for example, lots going on there. Therefore, schools have become a very, very rife arena for rent seeking. How this can be regulated completely baffles me, because part of it is also driven by parents. Remember the cities you are talking about, either it's Hyderabad or Bangalore, and some of the schools that you've named such as Oak Ridge or whatever, they're all schools where parents are sending their children thinking this is the route to H1B. The children are being socialized in a culture which has nothing to do with the context outside. So even a lot of the parents are willing to say that if you are making this kind of money, let me send our child from day one into a track of schooling which is different from the poverty and dirt of India. Let me pay a higher rate for it, but let them go through this track so that, and a lot of them are also children holding green cards, etc. So it is not an easy thing. There is a land mafia involved. There are lots of other types of associated business pressures involved, and a lot of it is also the exam board ultimately which is driving the pressures down the lane. There's the textbook mafia, but on top of that, parents also. It surprised me in Bangalore, for example, when I would see that, parents were willing to spend higher amounts on children who were born in the US and they had returned with them, thinking, इनको केवल school तक पढ़ाना है, इसके बाद green card है, ये तो अमेरिका जाएंगे. So these schools are in a sense thinking that we are living in India but training for America. So
right.
There are
I want to take this question back to Lavanya, who represents
all of it.
Yes,
a lot
the
has
Karnataka
to be done on
government.
Parent bodies also.
Lavanya, you said the Karnataka government has no jurisdiction at all over the schools which are CBSE and ICSE syllabus. Where do they get their land grants from? Who approves the land grant? Who gives them approval to run a school, if not the government of Karnataka?
State government.
Okay, Faye, Karnataka government believes in education for everybody. That is why, okay, first can I just finish talking before somebody interrupts? Okay. Faye, Karnataka government believes in education for everybody. That is why we have so many schemes to educate the kids in our state. We also have a new scheme wherein our girl children or girl child can get educated from KG class to her PG class for free. Having said that, we do not agree with the exorbitant fees that is, made to be paid for the, the parents pay. 2 lakhs for a KG class is not something that we agree with. Having said that, yes, your question was who gives permissions, okay, for the land and everything. So that is a procedure, Faye, as I'm sure everybody in this panel knows about it. When they get the permission for their schools from the different boards and then they apply for the property, the procedure goes on. So just because they have permission to run their schools in Karnataka does not mean that Karnataka state government endorses the fact that they are charging such exorbitant fees.
But madam, if you can regulate the subjects, what subject should be taught in such school, then why can't you regulate the fees? How can you say that there is no regulation by Karnataka government or state government on the CBSE and ICSE school? It's a total misconception.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
I just want to point this out. Hang on. The Gujarat government has something called the Gujarat Self-Finance School Regulation Fees Bill that was passed.
I would like to interfere here.
No, please don't. I'll come back to you, Shashi. Shashi, I will come back to you. Shashi, I will come back to you. The Gujarat government has a regulation for fees that was passed on the 30th of March 2017. That bill applies to all private schools affiliated GS, ISCSE, CBSE and IB schools. So they regulate it. The Maharashtra government has a Maharashtra Educational Institutions regulation that applies to all schools. Now,
all schools.
Whether or not it's implemented is a separate debate which we'll have on a separate day. But it's possible if for each of these states to regulate the schools within their jurisdiction. So I just want to, I mean, if you want to check with someone, Lavanya, but I do believe that all states' education departments have authority and jurisdiction over all schools in your state.
True, true.
Shashi Kumar, go ahead, please.
See, actually it is very clear after Amendment 2, the Karnataka government has tried to bring all the other boards within the ambit of education department. There is no confusion should be here, but we have challenged it in the Honorable High Court. That is a separate matter. But when it comes to fixing the fees is not the duty of the government, education department. Nobody has right. But to be a reasonable fees and to regulate within that, to regulate the fees fixed by any institute, it is the government's responsibility.
No, I have one question. All right, Shashi Kumar, I have one question to the panel. I have one question to the panel. So if there is a parent right now who has received a request for fees that they believe for whatever reason is unfair. Now, I'm not saying you take your child to an international school and refuse to pay the fees and expect to be charged the same as you would pay for a state syllabus school. If for whatever reason the parent believes that this request for a fee is unfair, where do they go? Who do they complain to? And this complaining has been going on now for what, 6 years, 7 years?
Yes,
and nobody has listened. So that's the question we need to answer. If I feel that these fees are unfair, who do I go to? The education department of the state, the HRD ministry in the center, the High Court, the Consumer Court. Who do I go to? That's the question.
There is already DERA committee set up. A parent can go to the BO, first PTA, then to BO and DERA committee. There is no blockage in this. There is no blockage in this. The only one thing is, if it is a reasonable fees, it is a different matter. If it is like first you should display what is the fees of the what is the fees. Once the parent agrees and enters, you can't suddenly raise into 50%, 100%. Then you have a dispute within that.
Mr. Shashi Kumar, regulation is very clear across India. Let me tell you, all the panelists, regulation is very clear, very much clear in India. Right to Education Act gives suo power to the education officer to take cognizance of any school on his own if it is profiteering.
Dr. Priyam disagrees. What do you not disagree with? What do you disagree with, Dr.
It's absolutely wrong. I don't take
One second, Shashi Kumar, one second.
I strongly disagree with the earlier panelist who has said that education fees is a matter of contract between the school and the parent. Look at the situation of the parent. They have to get their child there. And at such an early age, no parent is at a point where he can
let her finish speaking, please.
You are talking of 5 elements. I'm telling you that apart from school building, high exorbitant levels of transport fees, textbook things, curricular fees, lots of things. You take them out on trips, all those trips give kickbacks to teachers and to principals. Principals of these private schools you will be horrified to hear that when I go to these schools, I find that teachers are being taken to foreign jaunts. So the kickbacks from children is a very wealthy life for all these private schools.
Why do you keep sample things? No, it is only with few schools you can take appropriate action.
Is under the control
of the other thing we have not addressed yet. Yes, the other thing we've not addressed yet is the amount of money that's off the books, Dr. Priyam.
The child cannot get out of these schools.
A lot of times schools will ask for 70,000 or 1
Yes,
lakh rupees
very
as
high
fees,
levels of money off
and then
the
there'll be
books,
something
and
called
that's the
a
source of
development
profit.
fee or an infrastructure fee or a maintenance fee or a donation,
So it is only
which
with
is
few numbers.
which is
Why you
supposedly
generalize
volunteer
this?
but compulsory, and it's not always on the books. Ahmed is on the
Right,
phone line
right.
from Bangalore. Ahmed, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Ahmed, we can hear you.
Yeah, my children are studying in presidency school. 8 years back, they got admission. At that time, it was 30,000 fees. Now it has come up to 2 lakhs.
And do you think that's reasonable, Ahmed?
No. Every year I used to go and tell the principal. He is telling, no, I don't know anything about that, about the fees. And admission fees also every year they are taking 60,000. And if I delay the payment, they are taking fine on admission fees also. Donations on the donations. And no rule is there. No government rule is there on this.
Government themselves are saying there is no rule.
Pradeep is on the phone line from Chennai. Pradeep, go ahead.
Karnataka, it should not
Yes.
be more than 10%.
See,
You can't increase the fees.
I'm Mr. Chennai now. My daughter is studying in 8th standard.
Yes.
I mean, there are different types of schools. I mean, there are a low 3 to 4% of schools which are supposed to be a high-tech school, where you have AC buses coming in and AC classrooms. I mean, the focus is on all this infrastructure where there are parents who are willing to pay all this.
Yes.
The fault is not only with the schools, but also with the parents. They don't realize that it is an education that is important, that is imparted to the kids.
Options are not available.
Pradeep, I think the point we are making here is if there is a parent who believes that I'm getting my money's worth in this school, the AC bus and the lab and the facilities is what I'm paying for and I'm happy, there's no problem. Then pay, like we found out there is a British school in Delhi that charges 1 crore rupees. Pay. There's no problem with that. The problem is when you're charging, for example, for LKG lab fees and you're charging for IT and computers, the child in the LKG is not going to be using the lab or the IT or the computers. And then parents feel that this is unjustified. What do you do when you feel it's unjustified? That's the question we are asking. Ashish Naredi, go
Why
ahead,
should
please.
those parents choose that school? That is our
There is
question.
no option, sir. Within the 3-kilometer limits,
See,
good schools are not available.
Yeah.
That is the main problem with parents.
Mr. Naredi,
See,
go
the
ahead.
problem is
You can't, such schools
the
are
problem
many.
is not just with the initial level at which you get into the school. The problem starts also after that, because like you were telling, if any parent is willing to pay for those facilities, they are happy with the particular fees which is being charged, well and good, we have no issues, you please go ahead and pay. But even these parents don't realize that once they are in, they become captive customers of this school for 12 to 14 years, from LKG till class 12. And then they have absolutely no say in terms of what the fee hike will be and what the fees will be next year. Like the caller Ahmed who called up, I am not sure from which city, that is exactly what happens in 99% of the schools, where the fee started with 30,000. Now Mr. Ahmed would be okay with a fee of 30,000 when he is taking admission in LKG. In his wildest dreams, he would not have imagined that the fee would go up from 30,000 to 2 lakhs. It is a 6 times increase, mind you, and which is where the problem comes in, that once you've taken admission in a school, you have absolutely no right. You can't talk to the school won't talk to you. Even if they talk, they'll just brush you off. You can't go to the government won't listen to you. Most of the times the governments have half-baked information. They themselves don't know what rules they've framed. Like, I don't know who was the lady who was talking from Karnataka side. She said ICSE and CBSE schools cannot be regulated. That's an utter falsehood. Every board, whether ICSE, IGCSE, CBSE or whatever, it mandates that the school takes an NOC from the state government in which the school is located. So the
Lavanya does not agree. Lavanya is representing the Karnataka government. Lavanya, so tell me something. How did the Karnataka government decide to make Kannada compulsory in all CBSE schools if you can't regulate these schools?
Now there is a regulation for this, madam. No, now you have a regulation.
One
No
second, my
school
question was
can
to Lavanya.
increase
Shashi
more
Kumar,
than-
my question was to
Let me
Lavanya.
just make one more point.
No, let her answer,
Just
please.
one
Let her
point,
answer.
few
Ashish
seconds.
Reddy, I'll come back to you. Let her answer, please. Let her answer.
A similar related point.
Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Faye.
I'll come back to you. Let her answer. Yes, go ahead, Lavanya.
Okay. These are two different issues, Faye, about the subject of learning Kannada and the C regulations. Let us not mix up the two subjects. Having said that, there is a
No, you didn't answer
PIL
my question.
in the Bangalore High Court. I'm answering that. There is a PIL in the Bangalore High Court asking for the ICSE and the CBSE schools to be regulated in the state. For the state syllabus, we have the commissioners, we have the departments who will fine up to 10 lakh if the schools are found overcharging or if they are found taking donations.
Supreme Court has
There
held
is a
that.
PIL in the Bangalore High Court.
But why?
Okay.
Why don't you
And the
follow Supreme
subject-
Court guidelines?
and welfare. Sorry.
Why don't you follow Supreme Court guidelines which says that all these schools can be regulated? And recently they have passed an order for regulation even in Gujarat. You must be aware of that Supreme Court judgment. Whether schools have been regulated, all these schools of all the boards recently. Many times it has been held.
Already.
And even in Hyderabad
The
case, I remember
CBSE,
Ashish ji was
ICSE
telling me, all the school, Supreme Court has held in 2016 also in Hyderabad matter, Andhra Pradesh matter,
let me
that
clarify
government
here.
has
Same thing
all the
I will
power
be
to
here.
regulate the fee of all the schools,
there
be it
is-
any board. Supreme Court has held that.
If I can just make one quick
I
point,
have a
few seconds.
clarification here.
Situation
Can
was
I?
similar in Hyderabad. 3 years back, the government washed its hands off, saying that we have no regulatory control over CBSE, ICSE, and the other international boards. We took out the rules, we took out the GOs of the government, showed it to the government. We did the task of educating the education department in Telangana, and thankfully today, after 2 to 3 years of fight, no official of the government dare say that he has no regulatory power over CBSE and ICSE schools in Telangana. And as Anubha was telling, the same was upheld not only by the High Court but also by the Supreme Court.
Right.
So, with the doctrine of judicial precedence, this will be applicable across India. No state government will be able to give an excuse that we cannot regulate CBSE and ICSE.
Right.
Right, and I also want to point out, if like
Yes.
Lavanya from the Congress is telling us that the state government can only regulate state syllabus schools, which means that the central government will regulate CBSE schools and international schools will go where? Who will regulate the international schools? If you have a problem with your
This is a
international
wrong
school of
submission
by Lavanya.
safety or any
I
of
would
the
like
other
to
rules,
clarify here.
where will you go?
Let
Can
us
I
not
add on a
confuse the
point?
public.
Yes, Shashi Kumar, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Can I?
Shashi Kumar, go ahead. What is the point
See,
you want to make?
actually, I have a clarification for Lavanya. Already the government of Karnataka has come out with an order and amendment stating that even CBSE, ICSE and other boards are coming within the ambit of Education Act. There is no dispute in that, but we have made a dispute, we have gone to the court, there is a technical problem there. Apart from that, even in fees regulation, government is already with the outcome of fees regulation, they have put the cap that no school is supposed to, once the child is got admitted by the choice of the parent, no school is supposed to increase by 15% within that year,
cannot
I mean the next year. And you can't
They
just
cannot cap.
put a fancy number like 30,000 to 60,000, 60,000 to 1 lakh. You can't go with that. So that is the cap and regulation.
Capping is
the
not
government
allowed.
is
No, but
I do
ready
agree.
with,
But
we
see,
are
hang on.
demanding
So, which
that
is
you
why,
bring
Shashi
it
Kumar,
fast.
you will see that if the governments have
You
passed
should
a
have informed
regulation,
now before
if they
going to court.
passed a regulation saying that you cannot increase the fees by a certain amount once the child is admitted, obviously that is what has resulted in LKG fees
Yes.
becoming 2.5 lakh rupees. That way, once they've admitted the child at admission, after that they'll only increase 15%. But you started you off on 2.5 lakh rupees at a 15% increment every year. Srinivas Reddy is on the phone line from Hyderabad.
Then
Srinivas Reddy, go ahead.
Then
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, one thing, ma'am.
Yes.
Even the government should regulate the school fees and also the pay scales also they should regulate. For all the salaries should be this much and like that, they should regulate everything. As for that, the schools are charging fees like that.
Right, so you're saying the government should regulate the school fees and the teachers. All right. Lavanya wanted to come in and say something. Lavanya, go ahead.
I want to see, this is an appalling situation where parents are overcharged, or it's exorbitant amount of 2 lakhs for KG classes. My question to all the parents is, have you gone to the right channels? Yes, the media knows about it today. My question is, have you gone to the concerned department with the complaint about this? That's all I want to say.
What is, hang on, 1 second. Lavanya, what is the concerned department? One second. Lavanya, what is the concerned department in this case?
The education department.
Of what?
The education department. Have you gone to
of
the
the
education
state,
board?
of the country, of which education department are you talking about?
Of all the education boards. I would request them to go to all the
Education boards don't have an education department. 1 second, Lavanya, can you hear me? Education boards don't have education departments. State governments have education departments. So which concerned authority do you want them to go to?
The state board, the CBSE board and the ICSE board. Have you approached them?
The first
The
if you have any
boards do not
dispute,
have
you have to go to
affiliation,
the
they give
PTA.
affiliation.
If there is no PTA, you should go to BEO and DDPA or DERA committee.
Boards are not fee regulating bodies.
Yes, they are not. Boards are not.
Go ahead. Who regulates?
See,
Boards
I'll
are
tell you.
curriculum regulating, exam regulating bodies.
As far as CBSE and ICSE boards are concerned, if you read the bylaws,
exam regulating
I would like to comment here that Lavanya madam should read the bylaws of CBSE and as well as ICSE board, where they have clearly mentioned that the schools which are in that particular city, they will be regulated by the state government. The affiliation will be given only when they will fulfill the criteria of this state laws and other regulations which are in place.
I'm surprised. Laws of the land apply.
Laws of the land apply.
Go ahead, doctor.
Laws of the land apply, and education is a matter on the concurrent list. No, laws of the land apply. Education is a matter of the concurrent list, and immediate matters of education either pertain to land or pertain to educational management, both of which comes under the ambit and purview of state legislatures.
True.
Do you know that even universities cannot be set up in states unless state legislatures enact it? So the powers of state legislatures in India on education are unparalleled and unrivaled. They are more than what American states have. So I'm surprised that a state government official should have this view. In the notional sense of the term, the powers of the Indian state as an actor are very large with respect to regulation of education. Very large. Fact is, a lot of the politicians are hands in glove with these private school operators, and therefore it will never see the light of the day.
Ashish Naredi, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad Lavanya asked this question, and let me give you the description in Hyderabad. There is no single authority in Telangana and India who we have not approached with our problems. We first went to the Commissioner of School Education, we've gone to the District Collector, we've met the Principal Secretary Education, the Minister Education, who is also the Deputy Chief Minister of the state. Every political and bureaucratic top official in the state has been met, and we've complained. No one did anything. They just, at one point of time, they organized an inquiry into it. 3 years have passed, we still don't know what has come out of that inquiry committee. Then we took out the laws which very clearly say that school cannot charge more than 5,000 rupees as admission fee when a student is taking admission. And here you have, this is 2 lakh rupees, this is right there in the media. This proof, we have given it to the police. And we have said this is a cognizable offence under the
rubbish, because no one can run with this
admission. He is talking about admission, sir.
Let me finish.
He is talking about admission fees.
It is the criminal offence under the Section 9 of the Capitation Fees Act applicable in Telangana. We filed a complaint with the police. Police, even 1 year has passed since. Till date, they have not registered the FIR, and today we again had a tweet exchange with the Hyderabad police, and they are passing the buck. They say, they are telling that we've asked the education department, whereas the education department has nothing to do with it. Then we wrote to the Union Secretary
if we will not pay tax, they will put us behind bars.
We've spoken to Prakash Javadekar, to Amit Shah, and we've even sent postcards to the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. None of them have taken any action. Mr. Anil Swarup, please excuse me for this, but he asked for concrete data. He said, don't throw allegations in the air. So we did an investigation. We took out the balance sheets of schools and we showed that schools are making profit to the extent of 50% of the fees collected. A particular school had 48 crores profit out of a fee collection of 80 crores. These documents are lying with every government official in the state of Telangana and in the education department in the government of India. No one has taken action against any of these schools. We have given proofs
Let me,
and
okay,
live
I
here.
understand, I understand. So basically, so let me just tell you, for Lavanya's information, one second, Mr. Naredi. For Lavanya's information, one second, Mr. Naredi, we heard you out. We heard you out. Yes, we heard you out.
Shell companies there. Nobody has taken action. We filed PILs in the court as well. And the court, for some funny reason, hasn't given us a hearing. So please tell me which other...
All right. We heard you out. We understand the parents are upset. Lavanya, for your benefit, let me point out to you that parents in various schools in various states have been right now... This is a 6-year-old agitation. This is not something that started today. This is not something that started yesterday. So to actually say, have you gone to the right department, is offensive to these parents who have been battling now for 6 years, for 7 years, for some sort of regulation from anybody, either state government or central government. Make up your minds about it. Somebody take charge. Somebody look into it. Now, we're not saying that all schools are doing it. There are plenty of schools that are not doing it. But that doesn't mean we should allow education to be turned into completely a profit-making business where parents are used as an ATM and they're constantly sent notices to cough up more and more money. Shiva's on the phone line from Hyderabad. Shiva, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Shiv Prasad. I'm from Hyderabad.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank Mirror Now and all the parents association who want to bring up this school fee loot issue. I appreciate that. And my question and my concern is, like, I'm an IT employee and I have been seeing all these fees hike from 10 to 15% every year. Okay, but if you see in IT industry, from past 3 years, there have been no hikes, okay? And I'm worried if I can provide education to my 2 kids after 3-4 years. If this is how the situation sustains, I may have to drop from school and look for other opportunities like homeschooling and all. So my concern, like, government should come forward and try to regulate the fees, do something and help parents.
Yes.
Naveen is also on the
helping management and school. They should come and help
Naveen is also on the phone line from Bangalore. Naveen, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Faye.
Good evening.
See, I was just watching this program. I want to make a point here. See, most of the schools, of course not all, most of the schools are owned by politicians. And do you expect them to regulate the fee structure?
Is there any specific school you're referring to here, Naveen?
See, I don't want to refer any name. You must be knowing very well which schools are owned by whom.
Well, let me take this back to Dr. Manisha Priyam. Dr. Priyam, is this true that there is a nexus of some sort between politicians and owners of the school, which is why regulation on schools is weak?
No, I don't think I agree. Not all schools are owned by politicians, but the fact is that the moment you are acquiring land, the moment you are charging fees on non-educational heads in schools, there is, in a sense, an implicit, collaboration. As, Remo would say in that famous movie, Gunde aur Police ki Sanskritik Ekta. The politician and educationists have that cultural togetherness to be able to run the school in an illegitimate sort of way. Remember, a lot of these schools have land given on concessional rates for educational purposes. The Education Act says education is a non-profit making activity. So where does this profit come from? This profit is booked not just on fees, but on other heads. And to manage these other heads, you have to manage the politicians. So both for land and management of other heads, school education, unfortunately, even for the youngest in India, is an activity controlled by the land mafia, which is also the school mafia. So how is the politician going to be any further if the mafia power is in the hands of the land mafia and the school mafia? In urban underclass areas, underprivileged areas that I work in Sangam Vihar, the same mafia is also the water tanker mafia. And unregulated fees is charged from the poorest in this country who do not even have drinking water. You are having a debate of the privileged areas of this country.
Wrong,
I can tell you this is how bad the situation is.
Don't call it as mafia. See, we are giving our education, not we are not doing any mafia here. But don't compare some few schools and generalize with the entire school fraternity. I condemn your statement.
No, actually, let's let me ask you this question, Dr. Priyam. You said. One second, Dr. Priyam, just for the clarification of our viewers, you said they will charge fees under non-school heads. Can you give us some examples of these non-schooling heads that fees are charged under, so parents watching at home will realize when when schools are being unfair? What are the non-school led heads?
Building construction, development fee, educational tour. Building construction. Children are not supposed to fund construction of buildings in schools.
True. Who has to pay money for building construction?
One second. Shashi Kumar, this is not fair. You are interrupting her and my audience cannot hear what she's saying. I will ask you again politely to let her finish speaking. Dr. Priyam, please go ahead.
Building construction is not to be paid. Building construction, development fee, no parent should be under an obligation to pay these fees. Fees charged for educational tours. Now one of these cannot even be classified by me, suggesting of very expensive textbooks, and the textbook companies will come back and give the kickbacks to the schools concerned. We can't even classify it as fees. So hidden charges are very heavy. The reason why EWS children cannot survive in these schools is because those parents are not able to come up to compete with these things. Transport charges, very high transport charges, and the transportation companies subsidize the schools. So these are all non-educational heads. Let me tell you.
So that's very clear, and Dr. Priyam, they're making it very clear that non-educational heads, and this is what you need to be looking out for in the fee structure. How much of it is actually fees, how much of it is building donation, how much of it is pure extortion really. Yes. And once you get a look of that and actually, you will understand whether you're being treated fairly or unfairly. It's really important to have a parents association, have a parent teachers association in a school, because that is the first line of defense. That is the first group of people you need to approach if you feel you're being treated unfairly, and then after that you form an association and you move forward. But it boils down to simply this. We have to wrap up the show, we're running out of time, but it boils down to simply this. There has been a protest in almost every city of this country with regards to school fees, that the school fees are perhaps just too high in this country. What we need is clarity on a couple of things. Who regulates the schools in our country? Is it the HRD ministry led by the HRD minister in Delhi, or is it every state government? Who regulates the school? Whose responsibility is it? And I'm not asking you about the syllabus, I'm asking you about the school. Now there seems to be, other than the the Karnataka government, there seems to be unanimous justification or unanimous belief that each state government regulates, in which case every state government needs to bring about a regulation on how fees are calculated and what the margin for the school ought to be, and what a parent should do or who they should go to if they feel they're being treated unfairly. So if you walk up to your school and your school suddenly tells you that, listen, you have to pay this much cash, who do you go to? You know, there are a lot of times on this channel we approach parents and the parents refuse to talk to us on camera because they're so afraid of the school. They don't want their children to be thrown out. They don't want their children to face any sort of problems in school. So they're afraid to talk to the press. If that is not a mafia, tell me what is. Is it okay for schools to intimidate parents in this manner? And finally, the bottom line is, if government education or government funded education was not this abysmally poor in our country, not everybody would be forced to or would have to opt for private education, which is what allows these private schools the ability to charge whatever they please. We need to strengthen our government education and we need to regulate private education. Thanks for watching.